Where am I? Oh. You may be wondering, Kate, why do you have socks tied to your face? And to that, my friend, I say Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke. With Pokemon Shield, there are overworld encounters, which basically defeats the element of surprise with Nuzlocks. So as I was reading online, I saw someone mention a blindfold for Nuzlocking this game. Have I ever done a Nuzlocke before? No. Do I know type matchups like the back of my hand? Again, no. But there is something that I do have, and it is determination and willpower. The rules were simple. Catch the first Pokemon you find in every route/location. If a Pokemon faints, it's gone for good and you cannot revive it. Nickname every Pokemon you catch, and have battling on set mode. This was my first ever Pokemon Nuzlocke, and here's how it went. We started off this Nuzlocke with getting my first encounter on Route 1, and it was a Skwovet. Yippee. We went over to Route 2 and got a Yamper and named it Yapper, then continued on with this very invigorating storyline. It was time for our first battle against Hop. Not much to say about it other than the fact that I beat his ass. We eventually got into the wild area, which opened up a lot more areas to catch Pokemon. We got a Metapod in the rolling fields, then got a Growlithe in the East Lake Axwell. Unfortunately, the Growlithe didn't have Intimidate, but that was fine since we had plans to get a Magikarp in the West Lake Axwell. We caught a Stunky on Route 3 and caught a Timber in the Galar Mine. Where am I? Okay, we got one. I have no idea who, but we got one. After that, it was time for a fight with Bede. You know, that kind of sounds like the Taco Bell. Once we crushed Bede, I decided to catch a few more Pokemon. One being from a den that was in Dappled Grove because I kept dying to the wild Pokemon in there on my previous tries.
Bro, you're the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I hope you...
Anyways, it ended up being a Lotad and we named it Amigo. On the way to our first gym, we also caught Jaundice the Joltik. Terrible name, I know.
Yapper, you better get out of here. Yapper. Oh.
Once we had finally arrived, we completed the gym mission and went on to the final battle. All we did was press A this entire fight and absolutely melted him, literally. I felt kind of bad about this one. And just like that, we earned our first gym badge. On the way to the second gym, we got a new encounter, a Stuffle.
Okay, why are you beating my...
It's just Ember, because I don't know if another Flame Wheel kills it. Yeah, safe to say I might have overcooked on that one. Who needs another Pokemon anyway? After the tragic event happened, I got my bike and headed to the second gym, the water gym. But first we gotta beat Hop's ass. He got the last laugh though, basically saying he doesn't believe in me in this Nuzlocke by giving me some revives.
I don't want that, Hop. How dare you?
Anyways, after struggling but eventually completing the gym mission, it was time for Nessa, the water-type gym leader. We used Electro Web to slow the enemies to make Jaundice faster, and it was pretty easy. That is, until I murdered Jaundice in cold blood because I thought it could tank a Max Geyser to the face. My bad. Luckily, we had Amigo in our back pocket. Oh. Nah, I'm just kidding. Amigo didn't die. Anyways, we were able to wipe out her Dreadnought with just a few Mega Drains, and that gave us our second gym badge. Next location we had to catch a Pokemon in was the Galar Mine number 2. Let's play a game of what does Kate do? Does she A, catch the Krogunk first try, B, lower the HP enough to be able to catch the Krogunk, or C, absolutely obliterate the Krogunk by accidentally pressing the wrong attack?
Yup.
The answer was C. Really need to get better at doing that. Next up was yet another Bede fight. We crushed him, obviously. We exited the mine and got our encounter for the Motostoke outskirts. It was a Thraw. A Throw? throw? Sure was hard to throw a ball at it. Sure was hard to throw a ball. We fought Marnie, and with Butterbug using Air Slash and Stinky using her poison moves, it was a cakewalk. We caught him a chop named Pork Chop in the South Lake Meloche, and we headed into the fire gym. I started this gym off with using Lithium as a punching bag, basically. I made him Leer to drop the Ninetales defense, swapped into Worm to lower its attack, and hopefully be able to one-tap it. Ninetales used Will-O-Wisp, which caused a burn, and Worm went in with a waterfall, leaving it at a quarter health. I switched back into Lithium to finish the Ninetales off with extreme speed. Out came his Arcanine, who actually had Intimidate. I Leer on Lithium again, and changed back to Worm to Dynamax her. 1 Max Geyser kills, and out comes his ace, Scorch. 2 Max Geysers absolutely destroyed him, and there's gym badge number 3. Before the next gym badge, we caught Rupee the Skorupi in the Motostoke Riverbank, Beatrice the Cutiefly in Bridgefield, and Brock the Bulldor in the Stony Wilderness. These are the Pokemon I've caught so far, and these are the ones who have fainted. Only 1 casualty so far, so I think we're doing alright. I continued on with the storyline and came across the luckiest, most aggressive metronome user I have ever seen in my Pokemon life. I didn't even remember this trainer fight, so the fact that I got so bamboozled here should be a crime. Yeah, so remind me to never do that again. We got Ground Beef the Silicobra on Route 6 and fought Hop again. Luckily, his fights are pretty easy and I just ended up demolishing him. Next up, it was the Ghost type gym. I had no plan going into this other than spam Crunch and hope for the best. I didn't really have a Pokemon for it, so I just pressed A. That is until I couldn't. I made such a huge mistake. I forgot that Mimikyu's ability is Disguise, and I Dynamaxed too early. Instead of Max Darkness one-tapping the Mimikyu like I thought it would, it only did just a little over half. So instead of me already being Dynamaxed when Gengar is sent out, I will not be Dynamaxed at all. I switched into Brock and she was saved by Sturdy. And thanks to the Max Darkness, I couldn't switch out my beautiful Rock. At this point, I knew we were losing Brock. I just didn't know when. I just kind of spammed heals here because what else am I supposed to do? There is a very angry Gengar in front of me. The Gengar goes in for the last Dynamax hit. She survives. I almost cooked myself, guys. I can breathe. Listen to me thinking I'm safe. Cute. Unfortunately, I couldn't do much here since Gengar was faster than Brock. And just like that, Brock was dead. I switched into Worm since Worm is a pretty big tank, and this guy puts her to sleep instantly. Yeah, this was bad. Gengar knows the move Hex, which is doubled in damage if the target is affected by a status when hit. And Worm is now asleep thanks to him. That voice crack was insane. Gengar uses Hex on Worm, and I don't think I've ever seen Worm's HP so low before. After many minutes of trying to figure out what to do, I figured I had to sacrifice one of my Pokemon. The Gengar throws a Hex at Yapper, and he lives. Somehow. I tried to come up with anything other than sacrificing my Yamper. The only option was to paralyze the Gengar and hope that it doesn't hit Yapper again. But unfortunately for me, paralyze is just cosmetic for the enemy team and he kills Yapper. I was screwed. Until I remembered something. Ground Beef has the ability Shed Skin, which makes it a possibility that she will heal her own status conditions. If Ground Beef gets hypnotized, she can get rid of it completely with the low percentage of 30%. My Nuzlocke was literally crumbling at my fingertips. This was my only option. The Gengar tries to hit me, but gets paralyzed. I used a Brutal Swing to try to knock some of its HP down, and it gets disabled by the Cursed Body ability. By this point, I'm totally freaking out. If this doesn't work, this Nuzlocke is over. The Gengar uses Hypnosis, and Ground Beef falls asleep. She healed herself. The Gengar uses Hex and it only does 57 HP. I used Dig to try to prevent taking any more damage, and on the next turn, it kills. We had received our 4th gym badge. Talk about a plot twist, if I hadn't Dynamaxed too early, that all could have been avoidable. After that terrifying battle, I decided to catch more Pokemon in dens. I walked up to the first den I saw in all of these areas, and no matter what, I had to catch the first one I walked into. I caught Toast the Haunter in the Giant's Cap den, Boing the Bronzor in the Hammerlocks Hills den, and Barbara the Barbaracle in the Dusty Bowl den. Next up was a fight with Bede, and as you can guess, we crushed him, except for this time, I hit him with the GG Easy. Anyways, it was time for the fairy type gym. It was extremely easy. I had Butterbug put Wheezing to sleep, switched into Worm, and Dragon Danced. 2 waterfalls took out the Wheezing and out came Togekiss. Worm destroyed it with Ice Fang. Next up, Mawile. I Dragon Dance again and used 2 more waterfalls to knock it out. Then out comes her ace, Alchemy. 1 Max Geyser and it's over. Just like that, we had gotten our 5th gym badge. After the fairy gym, it was time for yet another battle with Hop. This time, he kinda gave me a run for my money because of his Snorlax paralyzing every single Pokemon I sent out, so I paralyzed him back. Victory was mine. On Route 7, we encountered a Seismitoad. For some reason, I think I was having a stroke and thought Seismitoad was the evolution of Krogunk. I killed a toxic Croak on an accident in the cave, and that was my encounter. This is a new route, and I got a Seismitoad. Can I catch it?
Okay, well, they are 2 entirely separate Pokemon, so yes.
Oh. I don't know. They're both blue, so I think I was onto something there. On our Route 8 encounter, we got a Volibee. I named it Egg. Then it was time for us to defeat the Ice-type gym leader, Melanie. This gym mission is the worst of them all because I am getting flashbanged while trying to feel the vibrations on my controller. A double whammy, if you will. Okay, now on to the actual gym. I start with Boots because duh, and I Pyroball just about anything in my sight. Ice Cube gave me a little bit of trouble because of the Ice Face ability, but for some reason it decided to not grow its face back and we melted it alive. Now her ace came out, Lapras. I totally forgot Lapras was a water type as well as ice, and I Dynamaxed Boots thinking everything would be fine. Luckily, everything turned out okay. I swapped into Pork Chop for some odd reason, and the Lapras destroyed him. Oops. I then sent out Gerber Baby to clean this mess. Okay, that is such an insane sentence. I then sent out Gerber Baby to clean this mess up and we got our 6th gym badge. Pretty much right after the gym, we had another fight with Hop. This one was rough. I started off with Boots and used Pyroball on the Dubwool, 1 tap. Remember that it's hailing here. This is important. Hop sent out Pincurchin. I sent out Ground Beef to avoid any electric move, but it knows Bubble Beam for some odd reason. I used High Horsepower on it, 1 tap. Then out comes his ace, Rillaboom. This thing hits like a truck. I Pyroball to hopefully 1 tap it, and the Rillaboom lands a crit. And my Pyroball misses. Remember how I said that the hail was important? Let's just watch this unfold. Oh my god. I switched into Butterbug and eventually killed the Rillaboom. The rest of this fight is me demolishing the rest of his team. I don't know why this fight was so rough for me. We caught a Jellicent on Route 9, and once we got to Spikemuth, Marnie and I had a cute little battle. Once we finished the fight, it was time for the Dark-type gym. Please enjoy pure singing in silence with no music at all. This gym was probably one of the easiest gyms out there. Like, my dream of just pressing A came true in this battle. 7th gym badge. Next up was Raihan. His gym relies heavily on weather, so I made sure to teach Amigo Rain Dance, as it's going to be super important in the battle. While Amigo danced, Worm used Ice Fang to lower the Flygon's HP. I Giga Drained the Gigalith and used Ice Fang on the Flygon again. 1 down, 3 more to go. His Sandaconda tried to paralyze Worm, but luckily I came prepared and put a Lumberry on Worm to get rid of it. Just like that, Gigalith was down. 2 more to go. Amigo tanks the hit from Duraludon. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, y'all. I don't know how to say this Pokemon, so I'm just gonna say Eiffel Tower. Boots face tanked a Max Rockfall because I completely forgot about the Eiffel Tower having a rock type move. I Giga Drained on the Sandaconda again, wiping it from existence. Oh my god. After that jump scare, I switched to Gerber Baby and Dynamaxed her. 1 Max Knuckle wipes the Eiffel Tower off the face of the earth. Why did we just do the same thing? And that's the 8th gym badge. Let's go! But oh brother, it was far from over. This game has a lot of battles back to back to back to back. We got our encounter on Route 10, which ended up being a Mr. Mime. It was a woman though, so I named her Miss Mime. Then it was time for the semi-finals, with our first competitor being Marnie. I led with Gerber Baby since she's a literal tank and punched the Lifer to dust. Next, I sent out Rupee because I thought Drapion was still a bug type. Oops. Next was Ground Beef to clear the Morpeko, and then Boing to clear the Toxicroak. I'm not really sure what my plan was here. Snooze. If you're looking at your screen in confusion, Me too. Rest in peace, Boing. Anyways, I sent out Rupee to Dynamax her and maxed Ooze all over the Grimmsnarl. How does that leave him at 1 HP? It's okay, he's poisoned. This was all calculated. Next finalist was Hop. Boots to kill his Dubwool, Gribber Baby to kill his Snorlax, and then back to Boots for his Corviknight. But hang on, there's more. I used high horsepower for his Pincurchin, and out comes his ace, Rillaboom. Now I wanted to use Miss Mime for this because grass hates ice. I tried to outplay it, but Hop's Rillaboom has the agility? I tried to outplay it, but Hop's Rillaboom has the ability Overgrowth, which makes him hit 50% harder when he's below 33% health. He killed my Mime! I never thought I would see the day where I lose a Pokemon to Hop, but here we are. Ow. So I just brought out Boots to finish the job. That's what I get for trying to use different Pokemon. After watching Pierce sing to no music yet again, it was time to fight Oleana. I started with Boots for her Frostlass as one Pyro Ball to the face just wipes it out. Next, she brought out my Milotic. This thing sucks. I brought out Amigo for Giga Drain and it just kept healing itself over and over and over and over and over and over. Finally, it stopped being a nuisance and I was able to finish it off. Next up, she brought out Salazzle, so I brought out Ground Beef to use high horsepower. I switched back into Boots for her T-Serena and one-tapped it. Then it was time for her ace, Garbodor. With one max Quake from Ground Beef, it was all over. It was on to the championship, Nessa. I used Gerber Baby for this since she knew Rock Slide and absolutely squished the hell out of her Golisopod. She sent out Pelipper and this thing would not go down. After multiple rounds, we finally killed it, causing her to send out Barrascuda. I sent out Amigo and used Mega Drain. Destroyed. Max Overgrowth, boom, one tap. Dreadnought comes out, max Overgrowth, boom, one tap. Next battle was Alistair, the ghost type gym leader. Now, if you can recall, I got absolutely obliterated by this guy and he almost ended my Nuzlocke. Hopefully history will not repeat itself here. I still didn't have a whole lot of Pokemon for ghost types, but I figured go big or go home and decided to use dark type moves against them again. Alistair sent out Dusknoir and I used Brutal Swing on Ground Beef 3 times was enough to kill. Alistair sends out Poltergeist and I decided to put Rupee in since I hadn't really used her much in this Nuzlocke. I Throat Chop once and it leaves it at 1 HP. The Poltergeist uses Shadow Ball, Rupee tanks it and goes in for the kill on the next turn. Next he sends out Chandelure and I was not expecting it to hit me so hard here. I heal her up and boom, it hits me even harder than before. I sent out Worm to Waterfall and it just one-tapped him. Not sure why I didn't leave with that in the first place. Next up is his ace, Gengar. I was not going to mess it up this time. I had to get my lick back. I Dynamaxed Worm and went in for the Max Darkness. It did not one-tap, but it was pretty close. I ended the Gengar by using Max Darkness on the last turn. I didn't lose a single Pokemon this fight. Before we get on to the last championship match, I know there's a lot of battling happening right now, so I just wanted to stop and say, I hope you're having a good day / night wherever you are in the world, and thank you for watching this far into the video. Also, I hit 1,000 subscribers. Let's go! Oh my gosh. Thank you. Now, we're almost at the end here. Let's finish this thing together, shall we? Last battle of the championship before the final was Raihan. I kind of already knew how to counter his team, especially because I just did it like a few minutes ago. Instead of double battles, it was single battle, so it made it even easier. Amigo cleared his Torkoal, then he sent out Turtonator. I sent out Worm for this because she can tank pretty much just about anything you throw at her. I used Waterfall to lower its HP enough to be able to kill it in just a few turns. Then out came Goodra. Boom, 1 Ice Fang kills. Next came out Flygon. Boom, 1 Ice Fang kills. Next was his ace, Eiffel Tower. I Dynamaxed Worm and used Max Hailstorm, but the Eiffel Tower knows a rock type move, and at this point, I did not care. I just wanted to win. So what did I do? I used a full restore. After that, I used another Ice Fang to finish the job. Then Chairman Rose came in and ruined everything, so now we have to go battle him. If you even consider this a battle, I clicked Pyro Ball 5 times and 1 Max Flare, and that was that. Nice. I would say it's time for the final battle of the Nuzlocke, but Eternatus exists, so we still gotta deal with that. Eternatus absolutely beams my Ground Beef, but high horsepower did over half HP. I switched into Worm because, like I said before, tank. I used Ice Fang, and Eternatus was 1 more hit from death. 1 more Ice Fang. I raised Worm up from a little baby Magikarp to the beautiful woman she is today. This one hurt. Eternatus Dynamax and it was all up to ground beef. And these other three, I guess. When I first did this fight, I accidentally destroyed the Sword and Shield Pokemon by spamming Earthquakes. So let's just try to prevent that from happening. Twice. With all 4 of us hitting Eternatus, we eventually destroyed him and I was able to catch him. But I'm not going to be using Eternatus in the final battle. I got this far without him and I don't need him now. This battle was for Worm. I also was just really tired at this point, if you couldn't tell from the dark circles under my eyes. So let's end this. Leon started with Aegislash, I started with Ground Beef. I used Stealth Rock to set up for his ace, Charizard. Then I went in with High Horsepower. Unfortunately, it didn't one-tap, but that's okay since I just did the same thing next turn and it destroyed it then. Next up, Inteleon. Dang, he's long. He's almost as tall as Leon. I sent out Amigo to Mega Drain and got the Inteleon to a quarter health. The Inteleon uses Dark Pulse, but it's no match for Amigo's Sombrero. Out comes Haxorus. I sent out Rupee just in case it wanted to Poison Jab, but it didn't, so this was kind of awkward. I used Ice Fang on Rupee and thought that was it. No, it was not. Instead of one-tapping the Haxorus like I thought it would, it left it at like 10 HP, and that was with a crit. It used Outrage again, and Rupee passed away. I sent out Beatrice to finish off the Haxorus, and for the Dragapult headed my way. I used Dazzling Gleam to severely damage the Dragapult. I totally missed the fact that it had Flamethrower. So how we didn't lose Beatrice here, I have no clue. Next up, Mr. Mime. One Pyro Ball to the face destroys it. Thanks to the Stealth Rocks we put on round 1, the Charizard came out with half health. It was time to Dynamax Boots and end this, until it hits me with a maxed Rockfall that I completely forget about. But I didn't care. I was in this battle for the long run. Leaving it at just a few HP, Boots was dead. And so was Charizard, apparently. What an ending. For my first Nuzlocke, I think I did alright. Obviously, I made some pretty big mistakes, but in the end, we did it.